Hello, fourth graders. Welcome back to Fiesta Gardens Library. This is week 5 of library during distant learning. This week we will continue with fourth grade rats. We will start with chapter 7. And last time when we read chapter 6, Joey and Suds and Judy Billings were walking home together. And Judy Billings was very impressed with Joey because he wasn't afraid of bees. And Suds felt a little bit betrayed because he thought that maybe Joey liked Judy, but he didn't. At the end of chapter 6, Joey asked Suds to come over for a sleepover, and Suds said, "No way, you're a traitor." But you'll see how chapter 7 begins. Chapter 7, Trashing Joey's Room. When I got to Joey's house that night, his room looked the same as always, but not for long. "Been working on myself so far," he said. "Now it's my room's turn." First, we put up posters. Rambo, Hulk Hogan, and one showing this big, nasty robot-type dude, except you could see whiskers and a long tail sticking out. It was called Robo-Rat. He checked out the walls. Good. Now the rest. He started with his bookshelf. He pulled out 4 or 5 volumes from his encyclopedia and threw them on the floor. Then he tossed out a couple of comic books and a National Geographic. He opened every drawer in his dresser. He flipped out stuff from each one. Socks, underwear, shirts. They landed all over. He kicked his wastebasket over. He dragged his dirty clothes hamper from the closet and dumped it on the floor. He charged into his desk. Pencils and papers and rubber bands went flying. By now, you could hardly see the floor. He stood in the middle, turning, nodding, smiling. "Yeah, now it's my room." There they are, messing up the room. I just sat on the bed, stunned. Until then, Joey Peterson's room had been the neatest room I had ever seen. And he wasn't done. We ordered a pizza, and when he got down to the crust of each slice, he tossed it over his shoulder. One landed in his underwear drawer. The pizza box he flipped like a frisbee against the wall. After that, we had fudgesicles and peanut chews. The wrappers, at least his wrappers, went onto the floor. He took a wad of bubble gum from his mouth and winged it against his dresser. It stuck. I guess he couldn't think of anything else to do to his room because he turned back to himself. He pulled something from his pocket. It looked like a little notepad. "What is it?" I asked. He grinned. "Tattoos." "Oh no." Into the bathroom he went. He tore off 4 and wetted them. Pretty soon he was tattooed on the chest, skull and crossbones, a cobra, and a mongoose. "You know they're not going to last," I told him. "They'll last till I get a bath," he said. "And I'm not taking a bath except once a month from now on as a rat." I pinched my nose. "Ooh, great, man. Do you have to smell like a rat too?" As we left the bathroom, we bumped into his mother. "I saw your room," she said. "What are you doing in there? Training elephants?" We laughed. "Well," she looked at Joey, "as soon as Suds leaves tomorrow, you see that it gets cleaned up." Uh-oh, I thought, this is it. Will he practice what he preaches? Joey slouched against the bathroom doorway. He looked off down the hall. "Nah, I don't think so." Mrs. Peterson blinked. "You don't think what, sweetie?" "I don't think I'm going to clean it up. I like it this way." I took a step back. If Mrs. Peterson was about to get violent, I wanted to be out of range. Joey looked at the floor. I looked at Mrs. Peterson. Mrs. Peterson glared. Then all of a sudden it was over. Mrs. Peterson gave a little shrug and smile and said, "Okay," and walked away. I gawked at Joey. Just on this one day, he had faced a bee and a mad mother. And here he was, alive and healthy as ever. He gave me the thumbs up sign. "See? Nothing to it." Then Joey told me to wait in his room. When he came back, he had a hammer, a jar of nails, and a bag of cotton balls, a bottle of iodine, and some Band-Aids. I asked what all that was for. "Put a hole in my ear," he said. I screeched. "You gonna wear an earring?" "Nope." "So why are you putting a hole in your ear?" He grinned. Pain. If I didn't already know he was loony, I knew it now. I told him, "The only thing about you that's turning rat is your brain." He ignored me. He cleared a space on his desk. He opened the jar of nails and dumped them out. He rooted through them until he found one he liked, a long, thin one. He handed the nail to me, along with the hammer. He got a felt tip pen, went to his mirror, and put a dot in the middle of the right earlobe. He came back to his desk, knelt down beside it, real close, and flapped his lobe out so it sat like a tiny pancake on the top edge of the desk. I looked at the hammer and nail in my hands. "Oh, no," I said. I dumped them on the desk and took a seat on the bed. "You do it, if you're crazy enough." "I would," he said, "but I can't, not like this." "You mind if I ask you a silly question? Like why you want to hammer a hole in your ear? What do you mean by pain?" He pulled his earlobe off the desk. He sat on the floor. "You gotta learn to take pain, that's all. No more crybaby. You know, like the Indians used to do? You had to go through stuff really painful before you could become a man. You had to prove you could take it." "I got news for you," I told him. "You are not becoming a man like this." He looked at me, disgusted. He grabbed the hammer and held it out. "You gonna do it?" I shook my head. "No." He threw the hammer down. "Thanks a lot, pal." "Listen," I said. "If it means that much to you, why don't you just do some easier kind of pain? Something you don't need a hammer and nail for." "Like what?" he asked. I thought about it. "Well, how about bending your finger way back?" "Nah," he said, "that's dorky." I thought some more. How about kicking your door with your bare big toe?" He didn't like that one either. "I got it," I said. "I knuckle your head 10 times. "Forget it," he said. But now I didn't want to forget it. I was getting into it. I rattled off some more. "Pull out a hair. Sit the 3 thickest volumes of the encyclopedia on your tongue. Sleep all night with erasers up your nose. Wrap your mouth around the doorknob and slam it shut." I was still going when the phone rang. It was pretty late, so we were both surprised when his mother called and said it was for him. He went out. When he came back, he looked innocent. Too innocent. "It was her, wasn't it?" I said. "I told her not to call people so late." I shoved him. "Traitor!" He shoved me back. "Listen, Morton, I didn't call her. She called me." "Took you long enough to hang up." "What'd you want me to do? Slam down the phone as soon as she said hello?" "Maybe I want you to lay off her." He laughed. "I keep telling you, I don't care about her. I'm not chasing her. She's chasing me. You want her to chase you?" He threw the pad of tattoos in my face. "Do something about it." We glared at each other. He turned on the TV. We watched a couple of horror movies. In silence, we went to bed. When we woke up Saturday morning, I said, "Okay." He rubbed sleepies from his eyes. "Okay, what? What do I do?" He sat up. "You're ready to be a rat?" I shrugged. "I guess so, but I don't think I know how. It doesn't come natural to me." "No sweat," he said. "We just do what all beginners do." "What's that?" "Practice." There they are watching TV before they went to bed. Chapter 8. Training camp. We headed for my house. Training camp. Joey was my coach. First, he said, "That crybaby stuff, gotta go." "How?" I said. "You still have your ET, don't you?" "Sure, my parents had given me the videotape movie for my birthday." "I'll bet you start bawling every time ET dies, don't you?" "Well, Follow me. We stuck my E.T. cassette in our VCR and ran it fast forward to where E.T. dies, or everybody thinks he dies. As usual, the waterworks came on. My eyes, my cheeks were like Niagara Falls. Joey punched rewind, stop, play. E.T. died again. I cried again. There he is crying. So it went, time after time, until on the 22nd try, Joey ran his fingertip across my cheek and nodded. Dry. He turned on the light and got in my face like a doctor. Your eyes are a little watery, but nothing's falling out of them this time. He held out his hand. You're on your way, rat. I gave him a high five. Next was spiders. Joey found one, trapped it in a paper cup, and brought it to me. I was sweating and shaking. Hold out your hand, he said. I can't, I told him. You want Judy Billings to like you? What if it's a black widow? I shuddered. It's not. Or maybe a tarantula? It's a little White House spider. Hold out your hand. I can't, it won't move. Joey made it move. He grabbed my hand and dumped the spider onto it. He was right. It was a little White House spider. But to me, it looked like a tarantula. I screamed and flipped it away. Ah! When we got to the 9th little White House spider, I was still flipping, but I was doing it silently. Joey sighed. Well, at least we got rid of that scream. He clapped his hands. Okay, up to the roof. No, I said. Move, he said. I went upstairs like I was walking to the gallows. Even more than spiders, I'm scared of high places. Joey steered me to the bedroom window. He made me open it. Out, he said. No, I said. Outside my window is the roof of our front porch. No way, I said. I sat on my bed. I finally agreed to do it under 2 conditions. 1, I take off my shoes and socks to get a better grip on the roof. And 2, we tie me to a rope. We tied one end of the rope to the bed. The other end, good and tight, went around my chest, under my arms. I climbed out. I sat on my windowsill. Out, he said, to the edge. I lowered myself from the sill. I sat on the roof. I dug my fingers and toes and rear end into the pebbly shingles. I inched forward. My heart felt like an exploding football in my chest. I was halfway to the edge when the sidewalk below started to get wavy. Then the bushes got fuzzy. Then everything was turning around like the inside of a clothes dryer. Next thing I knew, I was hanging off the edge of the porch roof, swinging in the air above the front steps. Just then, Zipper Nose came out. The look on her face said, I'm imagining I see my brother hanging from the roof. I'm having a hallucination. Call somebody, I told her. Get me down from here. She half turned, ready to obey me for the first time in her life. Then she spotted my feet, my bare feet. This time the look on her face said, I may never get this chance again as long as I live. She rushed me. She grabbed my legs in a bear hug and started tickling the bottom of my feet. We, the Mortons, are a ticklish family, extremely. By the time my mother finally came out and chased Zipper Nose off and got me down, I was about dead from laughing. For my next test, Joey led me to the little kids' playground at the park. We are going to stop there, and I can't wait to read to you what happens at the playground. We'll see what kind of test Joey gives him. This was 4th grade rats, and Suds is in rats training. I look forward to reading to you next time. Bye-bye, 4th graders.